Hey guys, Victor here again, coming at you with another deck profile, and today's focus is going to be on going second Gren Maju, which, I'm going to be honest, currently it's rogue at best, and it's probably never going to be more than rogue at best just because it's just not that great into the current format, but you can still take this deck to locals and still have like a good time, just OTK your opponent at the drop of a hat. So, with that out of the way, let's just jump straight into the deck profile. So, kicking off the monster lineup, we're of course going to be playing 3 Gren Maju to Eiza. There isn't really much to say about it. It gains 400 attack for every banished card you have, and let's just say you get banished cards very, very quickly in this deck. So, yeah, it's pretty much the epitome of big monster go burr, because you just summon this and then you attack for a bunch of damage, and hopefully you can win the game after that. Then, after that, we're going to be playing 3 Gizmek Orochi, also another fantastic card that can be used both offensively and defensively, as when this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can banish the top 8 cards of your deck to special summon it, and just being able to banish those 8 cards helps feed into your Gren Maju's attack points. And in addition to that, say you're able to summon this during your opponent's turn, for example, it has another effect where you can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down to destroy 1 card on the field that's face up. So, just a free removal. It's a level 8, which is really important in this deck. And always just banishing cards is huge because, as always, the main goal is to get to Gren Maju to Eiza and just slap it down and just, just unga boonga your way to victory. And then, after that, we're playing 3 Eater of Millions. This card is kind of weird because it's honestly not that great right now because it has to battle in order for its effect to resolve. And it's kind of like Fenrir Light, if that makes sense, because if this card at the start of the damage step, you can pretty much banish the monster that this card battles, and then you're able to summon it by banishing as many cards from your extra deck, hand, or field face down. But at minimum, it has to be like 5. But that's not really an issue. You're typically just banishing 5 cards from your extra deck that you don't need, plopping this down, getting your Maju nice, big, and strong, and then hopefully OTKing your opponent, because that's literally the point of this deck. Then, after that, we're going to be playing 3 Radian, the multidimensional kaiju. Kaijus are just really strong in this format, especially with like a lot of decks revolving around boss monsters and just towers like cards. And even in some matchups, like say you're playing in Sprite, for example, 1 Radian is being able to tribute over some like key card, whether it's like red or carrot, or even like the live twin version, for example. If you get over like pink, blue, whatever, there's just so many uses for this card to get rid of key threats and then help you OTK a lot more easily. Then, since this format is very graveyard reliant, or it's about to become, because Cybernetic Access has been released or will be released very soon, depending on when I post this video, we're going to be playing 3 Dimension Shifter. What can I say? As long as you're not playing against Kashtira, this card is honestly just insane. It can straight up win you so many matchups on its own. So yeah, 3 Shifter. If you don't draw it, sometimes it does become a brick later on in the game, but it's fine, because if you do draw it and you're playing against that's not Kashtira, the game's over, like straight up. Then that's it for the engine parts, I guess. We're gonna be playing 3 Danger Nessie. Dangers are really important in this deck because it helps you turbo through your deck. So that does mean cards like Droll and Lockbird are very effective against this deck. And if you get Drolled and you don't have Shifter active, you're not OTKing your opponent straight up, because Droll just completely stops this deck in its tracks, and it's just not a fun time for you. But if you don't get Drolled, then yeah, this deck just pops off constantly. And then we're also playing the 2 Danger Bigfoots because it's Bigfoot, the 2 Danger Mothmans, the 1 Danger Thunderbird, the 1 Jackalope, the 1 Tsuchinoko, and the 1 Chupacabra. And then with that pretty much ends up finishing off our monster lineup, and we can finally move on to the spell portion of the deck. Now, compared to the monster lineup, the spell lineup is honestly pretty small. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio, but the spell cards are still really impactful and help you like just turbo through your deck. So because of that, we're going to be playing 3 Allure of Darkness, just a fantastic card. You draw 2 cards and banish 1 dark monster, so you're able to cycle through your deck for 2 more cards. Then you're banishing a dark monster, which means your Gren Maju gets even stronger than before. Not much to say, just a generic good card. And now something that's a little bit controversial or just not as effective is 3 Super Polys. I still really like Super Poly, but it's honestly probably going to be moving to like the side deck, because a lot of the top tier decks, even though you're already struggling to beat them, Super Poly doesn't really help you break their board either, because a lot of them are just like weird attributes or just different unmatching attributes like against Kashtira, for example, right? Sure, our Rise Heart's a dark, but everything else is like earth, fire, water. Well, it's just too many different attributes, and like Super Poly is just not as effective. But this still does have uses even if it's not that great against your opponent, because there are a lot of times where just you're not able to finish your opponent off, so you just super poly your own monsters, and with that you're just able to slightly squeak by, just OTK them. So yeah, just a pretty fun, cool card. Like I said, this deck isn't really that competitive anymore, just because like a lot of the matchups that it has that are favorable are honestly pretty uh, non-existent at this point. A lot of the decks actually have like a really good matchup against this, and with everyone playing Droll and Lockbird too, yeah, this deck just continues to get worse and worse as the format evolves. Then after that, we're going to be playing 2 Pot of Desires. It's Pot of Desires, you banish 10, your Gren Maju becomes 4k, and you get to draw 2 cards. So, just a good card. Then we're also playing 2 trade-ins. Consistency is very important in this deck, so being able to draw and just continue to cycle through is, pretty much like one of the main priorities. And this has the additional benefit of if you discard like a danger, whether it's like Nessie or Thunderbird or Bigfoot, you're going to get their additional effects to, search a card or destroy a card, and just being those little things that can happen go a long way in helping you like push through your opponent's life points and just OTKing them. Then we're also playing 2 Triple Tactics Talents. As I stated before, Droll and Lockbird is just continuing to gain more and more popularity, and this deck just crumbles to it. And I know a lot of people prefer playing 1 Talents and 2 Thrusts, but with how often Droll is being played, Thrust is honestly just mediocre, because the moment you get Drolled, your Thrust becomes dead compared to Talents, which, sure, you can't draw, but you're still able to take control of a monster or look at their hand and just disrupt them for the next turn so that you can finish them off if you're not able to on the current turn. So yeah, I just rather play Thrust or Triple Tactics Talent over Thrust in this current format. And then after that, we're playing 2 very important 1-ofs for spells. The first one being Mind Control. Mind Control is just a really good card because there's a lot of Xyz monsters seeing play in this current format. So being able to take those and then overlay them after your like battle phase if you're not able to win, and then something like a Kashtira or Riseheart, for example, right? Or Kashtira Shangri-Ira, you take those, and then because their effects will be activated, you're able to overlay your own Shangri-Ira, and then your opponent will not be able to get them back. So yeah, this card's just really solid. And then we're also going to be playing the 1 Change of Heart, because much like Mind Control, it does the exact same thing, except Change of Heart has the added bonus of you being able to attack with whatever you take. So yeah, just really cool, strong cards in this deck that can help you turn the momentum and just straight up win outright if they resolve like successfully. So with that, that's the main deck. It's 40 cards, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now, since we are playing Super Poly, that means we're playing Super Poly targets. So we're going to start off with the 1 Mudragon of the Swamp, 1 Garura, Wings of Resonant Life, and the 1 Predaplant Dragostapelia. Just basic Super Poly targets that you should always have in your extra deck because you never know when they may come up. Then, that's it for the fusions, but we're playing a couple links as well. We're playing 1 Dharc, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. This is probably the one that's going to come up the most because you play so many Dark monsters, and there are a lot of times where you can just like, if you're playing against Kashtira, like I know that's the most common example that I use, but honestly, like this deck's Kashtira matchup isn't awful, and if anything, it actually helps you a lot because them banishing your card just helps you feed into your Gren Maju a lot more easily. But if you're able to get rid of their Riseheart, you can go into Dharc and then take their Riseheart, and then, just little things like that go a long way in helping you OTK a lot more easily. Then we're also going to be playing 1 Knightmare Phoenix, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, just good generic removal cards. And then that's it for the links, and then the rest of the deck is pretty Xyz heavy. So we're playing the 1 number 97 Draglubion. This card's fantastic because it pretty much gives you another option of being able to OTK your opponent, since what you're summoning off of this is going to be typically number 100 Numeron Dragon. And this card is basically just like Gren Maju. It gains a bunch of attack, and then you just attack for game. And then what you're usually putting under it as a material is number 84 Pain Gainer. It's alright. You don't really summon this all that often, but the chance or the situations do come up sometimes. And then for the other number monster, we're playing 1 number 38 Hope Harbringer Dragon. Just generic, level 8, good. It negates a spell or trap. And it's also able to negate an attack by making the target this card and by switching it to defense. So, not that big a deal, but if you're making this, that means you're pretty much not OTKing your opponent, but you're still having like a lot of control over the field, or they forced you to go first. Because that does sometimes happen, especially games 2 and 3 after they figured out that you're playing Gren Maju, and they're like, you can just go first because I know that you're going first board is whatever. Then after that, you're playing the 1 Dingirsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star. Just another good generic rank 8. You can send 1 card on the field, then you attack, and then, thanks to that, you're going to be able to overlay into cards such as Divine Arsenal Zeus, which we are playing 2 of, because there's a lot of Xyz monsters, whether you're playing against Kashtira or you're playing against Sprite. You just take them, attack, and then you overlay onto Zeus after that. You clear the board, or you just have complete control over the board in case you don't want to clear it, which is perfectly acceptable. And then we're also playing the 1 Downer Magician because, like I said, Sprite is still very much a powerful deck. So you take their rank 2, you attack, put Downer on top, then you put Zeus on top, and you for sure have at least 1 send with Zeus. And then for the final Xyz monster, you're playing the 1 Kashtira or Rise Heart. Like I said, if you're playing against Kashtira and they Shangri Ira you, or they have their own Arise Heart, you Mind Control, Change of Heart, you take their Arise Heart, their effect will activate because they banish the spell card, and then you just stack your own on top. And it's also really good at helping you get rid of Shangri Ira, and then once you get rid of Shangri Ira, you free up your zones. So yeah, with that, that's the going second Gren Maju deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!